So we read the proclamation early. Bill Malone. You know, I just remember those times. It was, the wheels came off. School district, like really functioning as one, so to speak. And he came in and he calmed it. He got us refocused on the students and the adults that are there to support the students. And so in trying to think of what would be an appropriate recognition of his critical role, especially at that time. Now, he was COO before. He did a fantastic job there. But is that period of time when he led as superintendent that I remember most and really just truly value. And so I thought that the appropriate honor would be to rename the boardroom in his honor. And so I wanted to bring that forward as a board discussion item.
All right, I think I saw Mrs. Whitfield's hand go up, Mr. Shaw, but Ms. Brill was first. So Ms. Brill, then Ms. Whitfield, and then Mr. Shaw.
Thank you. So I met Mr. Malone back in 2002 when he was the COO, and I have absolutely the utmost respect for him. I remember those days, Dr. Robinson. I completely agree that we should be honoring him. I do think we have opportunities with new schools that are being built and new facilities that we are renovating. I'm uncomfortable with taking a building or the boardroom in particular, which was dedicated to an individual, and then these years later, changing it to a different person. I think it kind of, to me, just doesn't feel right because, you know, we were honoring Winona Webb Jordan when we named the boardroom. So I do get the sentiment, and I would truly love to see us find the right place to dedicate to Mr. Malone. I'm just real uncomfortable with renaming a building or a room that's been named for someone already.
Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you. I had similar comments to Ms. Brill. I feel like the woman who the boardroom is named for seems very impressive. Unfortunately, we don't have a plaque or a sign or anything that says that she was the person that even, I had no idea the boardroom had a name. So I was thinking that there has to be another location for Mr. Malone so that we can recognize him and his service, because I do remember that time as well, though I was not on the board. I was working at the district and it was very tumultuous. So I think having an opportunity to recognize him for his good service, it would be wonderful. But I would like to also recognize the person who the boardroom is currently named for. And one of the things, I bring this up every few years, but right before Frida Proctor left, she tasked me with something that I had not been able to accomplish at all, and I would really like to, is to recognize our history as a school district. I thought this was a brilliant idea, and that we needed to put pictures on the wall and names of our presidents and potentially previous board members. I know we don't, Carol's been working on this project for so long trying to figure this out. So I know it's difficult to find, but she has the list of names. So I was thinking at least some way that we recognize the people who have given such service to our district. It would be nice if there was a hallway you could walk down and see the names and the faces. And then I thought if we did put pictures up for the ones we had and the ones we didn't have, we just put something in their place saying that we're looking for the picture, maybe the community would come forward with a picture, because I'm sure people out there still have photos of our past superintendents that we don't have. So anyway, I think it's very important that we recognize our history. I love that you want to do this. I think the boardroom is probably not the right location though.
Mr. Shaw.
Thank you very much. The boardroom is named after Winona Webb Jordan, and it was done back in the 70s. And I did some research just so everybody's aware that she was the principal at Belvedere Elementary for 26 years. Back in the 50s and 60s, she was working in the school district. She became assistant superintendent for instruction and retired in 1973. And somewhere in the mid 70s, the boardroom was, the name was changed. There was a plaque from doing some research, according to some of the people at the district office. There was a plaque that was outside the building at one time. Nobody knows where that is now. And it was taken down because the name was etched in the door to the boardroom in the glass. And when they had to replace the glass after the hurricane, my understanding is that one of the conditions was that if anything was etched in the glass or put in the glass for 5 years, the warranty would go away. So I think that's why it's not a common thing that everybody knows that history. I totally agree that we need to recognize Mr. Malone, but since the board did take this action back in the 70s, I think that we ought to look at other alternatives to preserve that. And, I think Nellie will make sure that whatever name the boardroom stays at, or if there's a change, there will be a plaque of some kind put up there now. But I think it would be almost a disservice to boards in the past to all of a sudden change the name for someone. Mrs. Jordan contributed a tremendous amount to this school district. And I think most notably that the years that she was assistant superintendent were the years that we went through desegregation of the system and the teacher strike. So those were two major items that were on her plate as the assistant superintendent for instruction at the time. And I think we should consider that. I almost wish we wouldn't continue this conversation today, because I don't think I could hear half of anything anybody said. I don't even know if you can hear what I'm saying, but I think it's worth visiting, but taking a look at, because I think it's a bigger issue than we realize. Thanks.
Mr. Shaw, just so you know, we can hear you fine. If you can't hear us, we can hear you.
And I just want to let you know, Mr. Barbieri, this is Barbara McQuinn, that I am still here and I'm hearing it all. I agree with all of those things, and I am not at all comfortable with just renaming something that another board thought it was very important at the time. So we need to look at the bigger picture. What do we do now? Like, we looked at renaming, the school buildings and that kind of thing, in terms of donating money. So let's bring it. Definitely, we need to bring it back as a discussion item, because I look back like Betty Bell and Camille Dorman. We have so many people that just at the time, nobody thought to name anything after them. So I would like for us to bring it back as a broad discussion about how we do this kind of thing.
Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you. And I certainly want us to do something for Mr. Malone. And I take it from a different angle too, because the person that the boardroom is named after, Wyona Jordan, she may have family here. Her relatives are still probably around, her grandkids, great grandkids, and to kind of take that away, it could be any of us, and our name is removed all of a sudden. It's just not a good thing. I think we need to do something wonderful for Mr. Malone, but we have to be careful when we begin to take something away that we gave to somebody, because even though they're not here anymore, they have people who are still here, and we have to have a level of respect.
Ms. Bro, then Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. So I don't know that this will be well received by all of you, because you may not feel it's enough for Mr. Malone, but I will tell you that back in 2002, 2003, he helped me with a huge transportation issue out of the South Area Transportation Department. So maybe as we think about where we can name, since he was Chief Operating Officer, maybe that's not as prestigious enough for everybody to want to name a transportation site after him. I just throw that out there for you to mull over, because what he did was really a game changer for me when it came to transportation.
Dr. Robinson.
Yes, thank you. So, and the truth is, when I submitted this discussion item, I did not realize that the boardroom was named after anyone. So I get that little tension, that uncomfortable feeling. I know that our policy talks about naming things for a short period, up to 40 years, as well as in perpetuity. So I would be happy to table this conversation until at whatever point in time things open up and we could dig into those old records, because I'm curious to know what was said, what the minutes reflect about why they named the boardroom after Miss Jordan. I'm just curious to know that. I get the sensitivity. I don't want to dishonor anybody, but Ms. Brill, yeah, you're right. The South Transportation is not enough. He led us just through a critical time, and he led his superintendent. So, I'm still stuck with the boardroom, even though I really don't have an answer for how to address what would be possibly perceived as disrespect to Ms. Jordan's family. That certainly wasn't my intention when I brought this discussion item. It's room for future conversation.
Ms. Brill, go ahead.
So just when we do go to brainstorm, maybe we name the superintendent's suite after him. Just throwing that out there. So, we can all come up with some thoughts, hopefully later on. I do welcome the conversation, but I would never entertain changing the name that was currently on the boardroom.
Okay, so we've all had a discussion on it. I guess we can revisit it later after, as Dr. Robinson suggested. Dr. Robinson, you also have BD3. I know you withdrew BD2, so do you want to take that one?
Yes. So this is about YouTube. So, we have a YouTube channel, at least one. I mean, I think our meetings are broadcast on the YouTube channel. What I would like to put out there, and I've had this conversation with some staff, is I would like to have a YouTube channel for each grade level. And I have, I have master plans on how we populate those YouTube channels with lessons from our teachers. But I just want to put it out there because I'm told it's easy to do this. I don't think that there's any expense, but I think that this is a way that we can work to have more lessons available to more children, and essentially almost create our own grade level by grade level Khan Academy with our teachers.
Any other discussion? Mr. Shaw?
Just one thing to think about. I think this is a good idea, but I think before we do anything with this, and I've talked with Claudia Shea and with Ms. Rico about this, the policy that we have related to the education network was written, I believe, the last time it was updated was maybe around 1996, somewhere in that time, because I wrote that original policy, and it is so out of date now that the conversation we have today makes it even more critical that that policy be redone to meet the needs of the technology that wasn't even part of the discussion of the education network at the time. And I hope that will be something that's considered as we move forward in this, because I do believe it's a critical issue because it's changed so much over the last several.
So I guess at this point on this discussion item, we could take a motion to put it on an agenda for the next meeting, one of the next meetings coming up, to authorize or to request the superintendent bring back a revised policy on this. Somebody want to make a motion to that effect? No? Okay, I guess not.
I'm not sure that I didn't. It was breaking up, so I'm not sure I heard.
So if you all are in agreement that the policy should be revised, then we can take a motion tonight to bring it back for a board decision next week to authorize the superintendent to bring back a revised policy. We can't do that. My understanding there is we can't do that tonight. We can't make a motion to authorize or to require, request the superintendent bring back a revised board policy. We have to put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Littlejohn?
Yes, Mr. Barbieri, sorry, having audio difficulties here. Yes, if you want to ask the superintendent to put something on for action at the next meeting, you can do that.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to that effect? Dr. Robinson? Dr. Robinson's still here. I don't see her anymore. All right, then, moving on. We have a time certain at 7 o'clock to take our non-agenda speakers. We have two of them, and I believe Kevon Remisar is going to bring them on now. One is Jennifer Beimel, and the other one is Brother Carl Mohammed. So, Mr. Remisar, would you please take care of that now?
Non-agenda topic, member of the public. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Beimel, and I'm the PTSA president at West Boca Raton High School. I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well during this crisis. I am somewhat reluctant to speak out, knowing that so many are facing incredible hardships. Staying safe and healthy, feeding our families, keeping a job and a roof over our heads are really the most important issues that our families face. But I am also aware that graduation and the senior year of high school is an important milestone for our students and families that should not be pushed aside. As a PTA leader for many years, I have supported and represented students, their families, and schools in many ways. I feel that I need to share with you the voices of my community in a public forum because I don't think that they are being heard and understood. I have talked to parents and students, followed social media, and received many emails with ideas, comments, requests, concerns, and complaints. At a recent PTA workshop on graduation, I listened to other school districts speak about the efforts that they have made to recognize their senior class. I realized that Palm Beach County has really not been the leader that it purports itself to be. 4 key areas stand out: communication, equity, virtual graduation, and input from stakeholders. Communication from the district has been terrible. It is clear that there has been a lack of coordinated effort to inform the students and families of anything. One example, parents learned of the virtual graduation schedule from the news media. It seems that the principals receive such little and ever-changing information that they cannot feel comfortable to update parents about anything. Parents have sent countless emails and voicemails to the district and received no response. Students feel unimportant and forgotten. Equity. Some schools delivered graduation signs to seniors while other school seniors are feeling left out. And the principals have to take the brunt of this keeping up with the Joneses syndrome. Principals are leaders in the community. They don't just work for the district, they are beholden to the communities in which they live and serve. A coordinated effort from district leadership to include all of the stakeholders could have found ways to make all students at all schools feel proud and recognized. Virtual graduation. While the gesture is appreciated, families feel that these pre-recorded ceremonies are more important to district leadership than trying to find more innovative solutions. A big part of teacher evaluations is based on their innovative thinking and out-of-the-box skills, and yet the district has done nothing innovative here. We have a very clever and creative group of teachers and staff who are ready to work together to make amazing solutions happen. Students believe that once the virtual graduations are over, then it is over, and they are probably right. No one feels that the district is seriously considering any other options for future plans. And to leave it to the schools to do something in the future, if the parents still want to, is just setting the schools up to be the scapegoats when the district inevitably says no to every idea. The stakeholders were not consulted. There were no surveys, workshops, meetings of any kind to include students or parents in the process. Other districts in Florida have reached out to the students and parents to learn what was important to them and to guide them in planning. There are many safe options out there: drive-up graduation, the use of outdoor facilities. Just Google it and you can see lots of ideas that are happening around the country. And just down the street, the private schools, they are doing something. To say that Palm Beach County is doing all it can as it brags about innovation is just not believable. This is the easy way out, and the seniors know it. While we all realize that we are dealing with a crisis situation, we feel that the district has not led from the front on this. Schools around Florida and around the country are coming up with ways to safely honor their graduates, while we are just sitting at home waiting to watch a tightly scripted run of show on TV. These kids really cannot believe that this is the best the district can do. Now, I realize that this message comes to you late and that the likelihood of something changing is slim. I feel that you needed to hear out loud the frustration and disappointment of your senior class of 2020. Thank you for listening, and please stay well.
Yes, this is a message for the non-agenda speakers for tonight at the Palm Beach County School Board meeting. This is a message from Brother Carl Muhammad as it relates to the improvements that are needed for the ADOS, African American descendants of slaves. I'm here to introduce that we're in the African American community planning for a vaccine for the ignorance that has been prevailing inside of our community, with us having the knowledge of the Florida Statute 1003.42H. And we're asking that those of you who are at the school district level will use your influence to assist us as we continue to try to plan these stages. We're going to need your influence and we're going to need your help. We're already in touch with various people inside of our community that are trying to assist us, and we want to thank our school board member, Ms. Marsha Andrews, and we want to thank the mayor of the city of Riviera Beach, Ronnie Felder, and the city manager, Jonathan Evans, and our city commissioner, Corey Nearing, and our port commissioner, Joe Anderson, and our former county commissioner, Priscilla Tiller, who are a host of people that are serious about trying to assist the school district of Palm Beach County as it relates to dealing with the worst part of your system. And we're going to be in touch with you very shortly to try to see if we can't work together to improve the quality of education here in the state of Florida. Now, as you might know, I'm Brother Carl. I'm a talk show host on Talk to Me at 4, a radio broadcast that covers 150 miles of the Florida East Coast. And I'm also, I believe personally, one of the longest advocates from our community to try to assist in the efforts that you are making at the school district level. And when I mention these different points, I'm just trying to ask you to think about the things that are going on as we continue with this pandemic, and we continue to try to find our way to ensure that all students are given an educational experience that will benefit them for the future. And for those of us who have a little age like myself, we're just trying to do the things that were ordained for us to do, and that is to assist the least of our brethren in trying to prepare a better future for America and for ourselves. And I want to reach out to our school superintendent, Dr. Donna Fenoy. As a radio talk show host, I've had the privilege of having the Indian River County School Board Superintendent, Dr. Moore, and he's taken on the challenge of professing that he want to be the champion of equity. And I know that the work that we've been doing here in Palm Beach County, I believe sincerely that it is superior for the state of Florida, and I have hopes that we as a team will continue to stay together. And as we fight for education, the new education that is going to be required after this pandemic, I'm hoping that we will take a serious consideration of the time and what it is that we can do together. Thank everyone on the school board. Thank you, Superintendent. And thank you, Palm Beach County, for being who we are. And let us continue as we could try to find some ways to address the problems, that we can continue to work together and do the things that are necessary to improve the quality of education here in the state of Florida. Brother Carl, thank you. Peace.
Mr. Superintendent, did I see your hand go up? I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I know we normally don't make comments after board comments, but if you allow me, I want to respond to the comment, because I'm sure she was speaking on behalf of a lot of parents as it relates to our graduation and in the future. And so absolutely, I'm not going to make any excuses. And, I think our decisions at the time were decisions that the board and I felt that were in the best interest of the kids. But I think one point that I want to be clear is that we have committed, and I will say this over and over again, the minute we're giving an opportunity to bring hundreds of kids together. And my prayer is that it will happen this summer. We can figure out a safe way to do it. The district is committed committed to getting those kids back on campus and celebrating them in some fashion. I have spoken to all the principals, and Jaden and his colleagues. We also talked about that the other day when we had our call. So I just wanted to let the community know that we're not giving up on continuing to celebrate our seniors this summer. Right now, our goal is just waiting to see as the emergency orders are lifted and we get back to normal. The principals are currently working on plans, and we are committed as a district to support them through those efforts. And just wanted the community to know that.
Thank you, Dr. Fenoy. If there are no other comments or any action needs to be taken, we are through the agenda and we can take a motion to adjourn. Motion by actually, Mrs. Andrews, you're finally unfrozen. Back just in time. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by somebody. Thank you, Mrs. Whitfield. Otherwise, we'd be here all night. Dr. Robinson, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
No, I was trying to second the motion to adjourn.
I believe they closed the meeting. The meeting is adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good night.